Shaman coming out against the Rogue here. So it is going to be Kitkatz on that Shaman, and it's going to be Gnimsh playing the Rogue. In this matchup, I mean, having played a lot of Shaman myself, it's a matchup I usually feel pretty comfortable in, but you know, do you think that with this kind of variation, you know, with the Harvest Golems and the Yetis and stuff, do you think that makes it better or worse?
I think it makes it a lot better, and one of the reasons why is because one of the biggest threats to Rogue is their life total.
Yep.
So when you have resilient minions like Chillwind Yeti and like Harvest Golem, they're able to put a lot of pressure on the board. So one of the ways that Rogue ends up falling short is when it can't adequately fight the amount of pressure you're bringing. We see here in Gnimsh's hand, he's got Backstab and SI7 Agent. Those are two cards that are going to be very critical in his matchup because he understands that when Kitkatz is coming into this, aggression is basically what he's going to end up losing to. So he wants to fight against that aggression, even if it really doesn't exist. The fighting against that potential aggression is really where he takes an advantage in this game. Because if Kitkatz is going to be playing a more slow control style, it gives him more time to find his cards like Auctioneer, set up for a big Blade Flurry, and then finish him off with Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, and this is honestly such a nice draw, getting that Unbound Elemental, because it sets him up turn 2, Coin Harvest, then turn 3, Elemental, turn 4, Yeti. Like, he has it all set out. And yeah, he can kill this off. He has to poke it, and then obviously the Backstab plus the SI Agent is going to clear that out. So, you know, it's very nicely done. But we are going to have that Unbound probably coming out next turn. But on the other hand, the Unbound can't kill this off, so he may just actually elect to just do Totem Lightning Bolt, or a Rockbiter Totem, and then do Yeti next turn. You know, either are very viable.
I don't mind hexing here either. That sounds really crazy.
Yep.
But developing this totem is a little bit of mild importance. He's definitely going to use Rockbiter over using the Lightning Bolt for two reasons. Number
Especially
one,
for the battle card.
Right. So because it's going to be really important with the effect on Unbound Elemental, but it's also really important in case he wants to keep his options open for something like Chillwind Yeti. So say Gnimsh had played something like an Earthen Ring Farseer this turn, you'd see Unbound Elemental and Lightning Bolt. As it stands, instead you're going to see Chillwind Yeti.
Yep, definitely makes a lot of sense, keeping those options available to him. And I mean, his mana curve is just looking so good. Next turn, he has the Unbound Totem plus a Squire. He has Unbound Squire Lightning Bolt. He has a lot of options. And then he has, you know, the turn 6 with the Ardent Crusader. So there's a lot of ways he can clear this out. And it's going to be very nice for him.
You know, this is a pretty important turn because I can actually see backstabbing here. I'm not a big fan of it, but I can certainly see doing it. With this Blood Mage in his hand, I think he's a little less likely to backstab. And I think what his plan more so is going to be is on the counter attack, he's going to want to use his dagger to kind of push through a little bit. But at the same time, that little 1 health taunt totem is putting a damper in that plan. So his options this turn are whether or not he wants to save this backstab or use it, because now Kitkatz has an opportunity to kill this straight for free.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways he could play this now. I mean, he could just hex it up. Hexing it up is totally viable. You can, you know, you can obviously go Totem Argent Squire, hope for spell power, just get a free kill with a Lightning Bolt. You can go Unbound Squire, Lightning Bolt. You can do a lot of different things. Hexing, I think hexing makes a lot of sense. I just feel like you could just hex Totem.
Yeah, Hex is a card that's not too critical in this matchup. It's important to keep cards like Van Cleef under wraps, but you have access to more things that can deal with it. And frankly, if your opponent goes all in Van Cleef, you're fine with it. So this is a play I think that's more seated in his read. Gnimsh didn't do anything last turn.
Now,
so
do you think he goes face or do you think he clears?
I think he's going to end up clearing.
Yeah, I think you need to.
You don't want to risk a Blade Flurry here.
Yeah.
Because if your opponent ends up having a poison Blood Mage Blade Flurry, you lose the game 100% of the time. So I like developing the Yeti here, using what you already have on the board, because he still has to deal with his Yeti now. And we can look from his hand, and he can't actually do that this turn unless he wants to do something crazy like Leroy Jenkins. So this play of not backstabbing really sets a distinct pace in this game. And it may come back to haunt Gnimsh, but again, I don't think it's a wrong play, but you certainly can make a very strong argument for doing it, even though it kind of is a waste of damage. It prevents this position from happening, which is, he has a few draws in his deck that can do it, but again, he's already burned through a Phantom Knives, so he's got Shiv left. He doesn't want to eviscerate a 4-1. He'd much rather eviscerate this fresh 4-5 instead. So he's going to find himself taking a lot of damage in order to play it the way he did. So. This is touching on one of those spots where something very little is critical to the rest of the game, because now Kitkatz has a big board presence and he's setting the pace.
For sure, it's definitely making a huge difference, like you said. And you know, it's interesting too. You know, he's obviously had he put down the Yeti and there was a Blade Flurry or something like that, Phantom Knives, it kind of sucks a little bit. So that's why I was kind of expecting him to kind of try to clear it out with something else, you know, especially having the Hex in hand when you said, like you said, there's not really a lot of things you have to worry about with that.
Oh my gosh, that is so much damage. He's actually threatening lethal next turn.
Yeah, this is crazy.
This is sort of the position we were talking about, where if the Shaman can get a board presence going and the Rogue can't deal with it, it's too much because their minions are sticky. They're tough to deal with. You don't want to like sap a Chillwind Yeti against a deck that's just playing it on turn 4 because they just play it again on turn 5. So unless you have something already out, like a Kitkatz Auction with preparation, it's not what you want to be doing. So when he's fishing here with this Shiv, obviously his natural play is to eviscerate this 4/4. So which it kind of sucks because he's going to have to punch this Chillwind Yeti if he wants to deal with it, which is going to drop him even lower. This Earthbending Farce here may end up being a saving grace to this game. I'd be very hard-pressed at this point to see him not backstab this 4/2.
I just feel like he's so far behind still.
He's very far behind.
I mean, even with Earthbending Farce here, it doesn't really do that much good for him, honestly. I mean, you can backstab that shield off, and he is going to do that. He doesn't want that to be a free trade. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense. Let's see what he draws. Okay, so how much damage can he actually do? He can do 5, then you can do Azure Drake plus Lightning Bolt 4 more. So he can do 9 damage this turn. If you wanted to do it that way. You obviously, I feel like just like Unbound Lightning Bolt is a really nice play here as well because you start to buff that up and then you can kind of just go face. Like you can do Unbound Lightning Bolt, Squire Totem. You obviously can hex it up as well, but there's a lot of viable options here. I just feel like buffing up the Elemental is a pretty decent choice when you can clear that as well.
He's going to lead with this, well that Earthshock may end up being a very lucky draw. He leads with this Azure Drake here, but honestly what I would have liked to see is hex this 3/3. Put the 1/1 into the little guy, 4 more to the face, play Unbound Elemental, and then just wait. Because you develop 2 pieces of a board because this Argent Squire is coming down. You still get 3-4 points of damage. You have the Azure Drake in your hand as backup, and your Unbound's developed at this point. So bearing some sort of...
was a pretty nice draw there, to be honest, as well, because that does let him clear that with the 1/1. Protecting his 4/4.
Right, as opposed to having used the Lightning Bolt. So at this point, unless Gnimsh can pull out some sort of miracle from this position, if he can Gnimsh his way out of this, he's going to find a win. But other than that, you're going to see his strongest deck fall in a matchup that I would typically tend to give advantage to the Miracle Rogue. So,
how does he really do anything here? He doesn't have any card draw. I feel like he's just basically giving up at this point, attacking the face.
Well, his play at this point indicates that he understands his opponent has to have nothing for him to be able to win this game.
But it's already over. He has the Lightning Bolt in hand. So that is going to be game 1 here, going to Kitkatz with the Shaman deck. He's going to be able to take it down. Well played to him. Both players calling well played. And Gnimsh even called it preemptively before he ended his turn. He knew there was going to be something. There's so many ways to end that.
Yeah, these two players respect each other's games a lot. And again, Gnimsh is known for being very aggressive, and Kitkatz has said before